Enoch, Elijah, Jesus Christ died, but he rose up on the third day, and he's still alive today. The fourth set of people that will not taste death will be people that will be raptured, the saints that will be raptured. So we should know that as we are in our present day now, as we are talking, as we're sitting down, there are saints on earth that will be raptured. Should the Lord comes now, should he come now, if Jesus should come now, there will be people that will be raptured. There are saints still on earth. So as bad as things may look, no, the whole world is upside down, terrible things are happening here and there, but we should bear in mind that there are still saints on earth that will not experience death. They won't taste death. Death will not corrupt their bodies. So to walk with God, we need faithfulness. We need to be faithful, and we need to walk with him with a sincere heart. Now, grace singles him out, Noah. Can we please open to the book of Genesis 6? And somebody should please read Hebrews 11:7. Genesis 6:9. I think I have that with me. I'll read that. But I want us to actually read it. The story of Noah. Let us go to Genesis 6. Anybody there? Genesis 6:1-12, actually. Let's read. I will read it, actually. And it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose. And the Lord said, my spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh. Yet his age shall be 120 years. So we lost two things here. The Spirit of God will not always strive with man. Second, the number of our days, human being, our numbers is limited to 120 years from that time. Remember, Enoch lived to be 365 years. But since that time, human being we lost it. Adam lost it. He lost the grace. He disappointed God. He didn't make it. Enoch made it. He lived very long. But then again, because human being continued in sin, we now lost the grace and favor of God again. So, continuing verse 4. There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came in unto daughters of men, and they bare children to them, and the same became mighty men which were of old, men of renown. And God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. And it repented the Lord that he had made man on earth, and it grieved him at his heart. And the Lord said, I will destroy man whom I have created from the face of the earth, both man, beast, and the creeping things, and the fowls of the air, for it repents me that I have made them. But Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord. Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord. As bad things were happening, evils all around him, people were committing, and God was so sorry. God regretted creating man, human being, creating any living things, everything. The earth was full of evil, but one person, Noah, found grace. And we are going to look into why and how he found grace in the Lord. And these are the generations of Noah. So Noah was a just man and perfect in his generation, and Noah walked with God. Noah found grace with God because he was a just man. He was perfect. He walked with God. We will look into that, expatiate on this point later on. So Noah begat 3 sons. Now jumping to chapter 13, 12. And God looked upon the earth, and behold, it was corrupt, for all flesh had corrupted his way upon the earth. And God said unto Noah, the end of all flesh is come before me, for the earth is filled with violence through them. and behold, I will destroy them with the ark. And then God commanded him in 14, make thee an ark of gopher, God gave him the specification, and God told him he was going to send rain down upon the earth, and Noah obeyed God faithfully. So, now, Hebrews 11:7. Is anybody there? Hebrews 11:7. No one there? Okay, let me quickly. Hebrews 11, verse 11:7. It says, yeah. Mm-hmm. 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 Thank you, sir. That's okay, sir. So we actually want to read about Noah. So what God told Noah in the Hebrews, this verse just repeated what God told Noah in Genesis that I just read. How God gave him the instruction to build the ark. So by faith, Noah being divinely warned of things not yet seen, moved with godly fear, prepared an ark for the saving of his household, by which he condemned the world. So point one, Noah's generation was as corrupt as we have it today. A thing that pisses God off, invoking unbearable divine penalties. I'm not sure which one is bad. They say there is nothing under the heavens anymore. Our generation or Noah's generation. So if there is nothing under the heavens anymore, so whatever is happening now must have happened in the past. All the things happening nowadays must have happened in the past. So we are as equally as bad as the people in those days. There is no difference. The only thing it makes it sound as if it's a serious thing or it's a new thing is, now that we have this social media and news travel very fast, and then the number of sins now I think is multiplying because of the population. Back then maybe there were only thousands of people. Now we have millions. So the number of sins is like bigger, much more. But it's the same atrocities. The same thing, the atrocities committed back then is what we're doing now. We are not different from them. And Noah and his family were living among these people. People like me, people like you. People around us, nations around us. Noah was in the midst of them. How could you survive living in the midst of such calamities, atrocities? How would a Christian, how would you survive if not for the grace of God? How would you end up not being corrupted if not for the grace of God? If God is not with you, if God is not with somebody, if God doesn't uphold you and you are living in the midst of sin, sinful life, sinful ways, it's very, very easy to be distracted if you don't hold on to your God. By the time you slip away, you won't even realize it or know it. It will be like everybody is the norm. Everybody is doing it. The society is doing it. It's accepted. It's welcomed. You will think, yes, people have done it. It's okay. Nothing happened to them. They didn't die. So then somebody did this. He's still alive. He's made it. Money is coming in. He's gotten his way. But God is watching. God is looking. Judgment day is coming. If as a Christian we are not very, very careful with what is going on around us, and people will persuade you subtly, like Satan did to, what is it called? Eve. Satan will package things for you to make it good, to make you to commit sin against God, to make you to disobey God. So for someone to be upright, living a righteous life, keeping the commandment of God, obeying God, even one guy said, go and build an ark. I'm going to destroy the earth. It's like in the desert now. Somebody is not telling you there's going to be rain in the desert. We know it doesn't rain in the desert. Namibia desert, Sahara desert, all these deserts, when they haven't seen rain for thousands of years. It doesn't rain in the desert. So now God is now telling you, I want you to go to, even in our northern part, Nigeria, go to Sokoto or Bauchi, the extreme part. Oh yeah, go and build an ark because there's going to be flood. Do you think this is not Lagos? If you're saying build an ark in Lagos now, we know it's regular. Flash flooding every minute, every time. That's okay. If it is Ibadan, now they've experienced flood how many times? 3, 4 serious floods that destroyed lives and people. But in the desert now, somebody saying there will be rain. You would think, you would first bind the Satan that is talking to you. I bind that voice. If you have a gun, you will shoot it. Where is that voice speaking? Show your face. I'm going to kill you. But Noah, he didn't even argue. Just like Abraham did. Pack your things, leave your family. I want to send you on a journey. Leave your home, leave everything, go far away. Place unknown to him. He obeyed faithfully. You cannot walk with God. The just shall live by faith. And it is that faith that is counted as righteousness unto Abraham, unto Enoch, unto Noah, unto Elijah, and people like them. And it is the same thing that will be counted unto us our righteousness if we obey and if we walk with God faithfully. But we need the grace of God to be obedient in that kind of situation when everything is telling you all things around, all you can see physically, all your logical, everything you can see logically doesn't fit. 2 + 2, we know it's 4. But when somebody now says 2 + 2 will be 6, you'll be thinking it doesn't. But faithfully, Noah did. He saved himself. He saved his family. Let us look at point 2. The but here is a positive deviation from the negative norm. Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord. And we've just discussed how he was a just man. He was perfect in his generation. So our God is for an impartial and perfect God, who neither lies nor signs nor sing praise of any human being unnecessarily. To describe Noah as a just man, perfect in his generation, he must have been consistently living a God-pleasing life over the years. What about you? So we are talking about consistency now. It's not about I do pick and choose. One day you will please God. Another time you won't. It's not about picking. I know human beings, we tend to we pick our faith at times. When things seems logical, like there is possibility, you can see from your 2 eyes. Yes, I think beyond my eyes there I can see something. Maybe that we play lottery with our faith at times. When our human being mind, our physical eyes, our natural eyes can see, and our thinking, we can deduct, we can add, we can subtract, and we think yes, then we have faith. But that is not really faith. Faith is believing something that hasn't even happened as been. That is how the Bible describes faith. Something that is not there, physical. Noah constructed an ark in the desert because there was going to be rain. He built an ark in the desert. He had already seen the rain. And that is why at times when you have faith, you will exploit. Those who have faith in their God, you will perform exploits. You will do exploits. If you have faith, things that you'll be doing because you have faith, like my God commanded me, my God said, my God asked me, my God instructed me, I'm going to follow the instruction of God. You haven't seen it, it hasn't happened. But because of your faith, you are leaping the wall. You are making a giant steps. People will be looking at you and say, this one is mad, this one is crazy. Look at how they were mocking Noah. Then people were mocking him. A lot of them just continue, they continued partying, reveling, drinking, dancing, worshiping their idols. He was all alone. The journey is very lonely. You are going to be alone. You won't have support from family and friends. Your own child will condemn you. Your own children's wife will condemn you. Job's wife condemned him. He said, look, curse this God and don't forget about this God. But Job said, I know my Redeemer liveth. So people will condemn you. People will say, what rubbish. People will persuade you. It's not so. Eve went to Adam. This is it. Let us eat it. People will come to you. Everything will be happening contrary to what God has said. But it is up to you to be consistent in that faith, not to pick and to choose. Noah could have taken all the materials for the ark. He could have taken them, cut the woods, prepared everything. He could have taken them down to where there is river, saying maybe they didn't hear very well. Maybe that God wanted to say riverside, but made a mistake. It's only Lord, it can only be riverside. He could have packed all the woods and everything and went to a nearby river and started constructing like, I think this is what God meant. No. Instruction of God is very, very clear. He's not a God of confusion. He's not, he could have, God would have, it's very straightforward instruction. Go to the riverside, build an ark there. No, it wasn't that. Build an ark where you are, because there's going to be rain. So we can see. So at times, don't play lottery with your faith. Don't assume things for God. Don't jump to conclusion. Don't make things up. Or don't let people, you can't corner things, instruction of God. Don't cut off, don't add to it. Do exactly as God instructs. God is always specific. It's not for us to choose. And be consistent. The same faith that brought you out of one situation, if you carry that faith to another situation, you will do greater exploits. That one will lead to something bigger. If you keep on and remember his promises and shout hallelujah. If you remember the past one, past victory, why can't you rely on that same God that delivered you and put that same faith, carry that same faith into another battle and see what that God will do? He's a living God. He's alive. Oluwani domiwo. Command me about the works of my hands and see whether I will not do it. But unfortunately, many Christians nowadays, we don't. After being praying for maybe 1 year, 2 years, we relax, we relent, and we think, oh, well, that's my faith. My faith. It's not your faith. It's because you are not persistent. You are not working consistently with God. You stopped coming to church. You stopped paying your tithe. You stopped doing the work of God because you've lost hope. You've lost hope that it's not possible anymore. Sarah could have lost hope as well. Age 1999, Abraham, Sarah, and God gave them a child. By the time a woman is 70, what else? 80, what else? There is this story of this woman. It was on social media. At Abeokuta in Nigeria. I think she was about 66 when she gave birth. I can't remember whether twins or a boy or one. But she gave birth at age 66, and the husband was like around 70-something. And the woman said, when she was interviewed, that after they married, after some years, she saw an angel told her, don't worry, you have a child. Maybe by age 50, an angel came again and said, don't worry, you have a child. She said at that time she was thinking, but I'm 50. When is this promise going to happen? Then she remembered the story of Sarah, and she kept the faith. And then 2 years prior to the time she got pregnant, an angel appeared to her again and said, well done, you righteous woman. In fact, when she said that, I'm like, wow. Even God knew that that woman was faithful, believed in that promise. At that age, 60-something, God knew that that woman believed in him, that what he said, that promise, he would carry it out. For God to tell that woman, well done, O righteous woman. This is somebody in our own generation, a human being like us. God is still saying somebody is righteous. What can God say about us, me and you? Can God say, well done, you righteous man, you righteous woman? This is our own time now. So we still have, that's what I said, we still have some saints on earth. We still have people that will rapture with God when God comes. People that will not experience death. They are still saints on earth. So it's not going to be Enoch alone, Elijah alone. There will be people that will not taste death. Their bodies will not be corrupted by death. They won't be eaten by maggots. They will not enter the ground. So for God to be telling that woman, this is recent, this is about a year, 2 years ago. It was on social media. Well done, you righteous woman. How many of us can God called well done? righteous man, righteous woman. So over the years, Noah walked with God and he was very close. He was in a very close relationship with God, such that he had imbibed God's culture of holiness, hence been described as perfect. Can two walk without an agreement? Amos 3:3. If you want to walk with me, for us to tally, for us to be paddy, we have to give in to, not give in to each other. You will do what I like, I will do what you like. That's the only way we can continue our relationship. If you are doing things that offend me, then eventually I'll just break off with you. Likewise, other way, vice versa. So for you not to continually working with God, he must have been doing something pleasing with God. He imbibed that holiness, living a life of holiness, keeping all the commandments, keeping all the rules of God, serving God faithfully, worshiping God faithfully, doing things, loving his other fellow human being, loving God. So we cannot walk with God and we cannot enjoy his grace if we are not being holy. If you don't live a holy life, you can't enjoy the grace of God. So all he did was motivated by godly fear, which is the beginning of knowledge. Hence, he walked and grew in God's wisdom, such that his life condemned the world. Another thing, godly fear, the beginning of knowledge. If you don't fear God, if you want to learn, if you obey, if you're ready to learn, then God will give you that knowledge. If you don't fear God, that's destruction. Out of respect, out of fear, when your parents tell you don't do things, if you fear them, if you respect them, you will obey that thing. Whatever is it they've asked you not to do. Likewise, God. If you fear God, you will keep his commandments. Very simple. All of this works to grace upon Noah's life. Can you do without that grace? So most likely during Noah's time, there were a lot of people, but only Noah and his people stood for God. However, it would not have been possible outside God's grace. Only grace helps us to live in and for God in any generation. Desire this grace with passion. Our flesh cannot do it. We can't do it. You can't walk with God without his grace. Because there are so many negativities around us, so many things going on around us. You will need the grace of God to continue, to live this holy life, to walk with God, to be faithful, to be loyal, to be obedient to God, to serve God faithfully. We need the grace of God. Without the grace of God, we can't do it alone. So grace unimaginably preserves Noah. God said, prepare an ark for the saving of his household, by which he condemned the world, and he became heir of the righteousness, which according to faith, like Abraham. So that Noah prepared an ark for saving of his household, stemmed from the fact of his confidence, trust, and obedience to God that he had developed over the years. The more you obey God, you keep his commandments. The more you walk with God, prayer, fasting, the more God will give you more power, endow you with more power. He will reveal himself to you more and more. That is why if you know your God, if you obey your God, if you will do exploit. If you have faith in God, you will do exploit. So the more you do, from little mustard faith is what you need. Put a little faith in something and see what comes out of it. That little faith, carry it over to another situation, the bigger situation. You will see what will come out. How old was David when he killed Goliath? With what? 3 stones. All the other people came with swords, armlets, all their